Excellent. So thank you for joining us. This is the Ask Us Almost Anything call around our internship programs. We've got a few slides just to kick things off and do a bit of scene setting. We're aiming not to repeat the content we did in our previous call around our internships and volunteering. So please go and check out that video on YouTube to get more information if you want around that. But we'll focus today much more on internships, some tips of how to do it, how not to do it, and what you get out of it, and then really open up for questions as the proposal window is open for GSOC and will open at the end of the month for C4GT. I am expecting there to be a good host of questions, and that's normally the best way to interact. So I am going to hand over to Ed first of all, and what we're going to do is just walk through a bit about what Mifos actually is about. Ed, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, David. Yeah, so just to give you some broad strokes around what the focus of our 501(c)(3) nonprofit is we're aiming to help bring and deliver digital financial services to the 3 billion underbanked. And we do that in a number of key manners, but we harness modern technologies like the cloud and mobile and leverage the spread and growth of an open source community to help us collectively reach this widespread mission if we couldn't do it alone. So this number continues to grow, but on the right-hand side of the screen, you can see Marie-Claire Ayerwanda of Rwanda, who represents the shared vision of 3 billion Maries for the Mifos initiative. We all work together to help create better lives for these individuals who are reached by financial inclusion, helping them to uplift themselves out of poverty and help their families go along that same journey as well. So collectively to date, across all the organizations that use the Mifos APIs to power their solutions, there are more than 75 million individuals being reached that we're helping to bring inclusive financial services to. So there's a number of key pillars that help to differentiate and help us on this journey to reach 3 billion Maries. The first off is this notion of commoditizing core banking software. We recognize that around the world, the functionality needed to deliver a loan account, a savings account, or transact is relatively similar. So that's why we focus on trying to enable this virtuous cycle of upstream contribution where our global community made up of prospective interns like yourself, volunteers, as well as commercial providers, all collectively work to build out the common functionality on the platform such that others can sit around the edge and build those applications and value-added solutions that are needed to deliver last-mile financial inclusion. So only by having this approach where we're commoditizing the core, getting everybody to work on it in a similar fashion, and then enabling this ecosystem of companies who are driven by their local market needs to be able to build solutions that are needed by the customers to reach last mile, are we able to achieve that shared vision of reaching those 3 billion underbanked. So throughout the years that we've been in existence, we've been fortunate to be recognized for a number of different awards, recognizing our thought leadership, not just around financial inclusion, open source community, fintech, payments, core banking, etc., but a wide variety of ways. Most recently, one of our former interns, Priyanshu, or two of our former interns, Priyanshu and Akshat, had the opportunity to take the stage at the Bharat Fintech Summit and receive the Special Jury Award for Financial Inclusion Organization of the Year. And then last year, we also received, or one of our users received the prestigious Future of Government Reuse Award for their open source reuse of Mifos X down in Mexico. So if you have the opportunity to intern with the Mifos initiative through one of our programs, you're joining a community and a project that has a long and storied history. So we've always been at the forefront of evolution in helping to create modern technology to bring financial services to the underbanked. So we have our roots almost 2 decades ago, just as a white paper and a concept known as the Microbanking Open Architecture Project, which began as a idea of our original founder, James Daly, as part of the Green Technology Center. And from there, the MOAP project evolved to become the first generation of Mifos, which was housed within the Green Technology Center. And at the time, it was the world's first web-based open source management information system for joint liability group lending. And then over time, we evolved that to be the world's first API-driven core banking platform for a broader set of financial services, financial inclusion. And throughout the years, we've continued to evolve to help keep pace with the market. So as the markets evolve from microfinance to financial inclusion to digital financial services, we've continued to evolve the functionality to be supported. And then in order to keep pace with the needs of our ecosystem and market, we've continued to evolve the governance structure of our project such that we have the ability to work with individual interns like yourself, as well as commercial companies building around the platform. And then we've also continued to evolve to help keep our organization sustainable and be able to be self-sufficient in being able to grow and serve the needs of our community. And then also, as we've recognized the need beyond just core banking, in being able to manage a suite of lending, savings, and share products, we've continued to add additional products and tools, starting with our suite of mobile apps, then working on our Payment Hub Enterprise Edition to connect into and orchestrate payments through mobile money, digital payments, etc. And then lastly, we have also launched Gazelle as our tool to help our digital public goods and our solutions be rapidly deployable to help others evaluate them. And hats off to the team who just released version 2.0 of Gazelle over the weekend. So in interning with Mifos, there's a wide variety of different projects you get the opportunity to work on. So if you're looking to work on the back end, the front end, or mobile, there's a wide variety of options in which to do that. So we'll talk more about the project focuses later. But at a high level, we've got Mifos X, which is our core banking system, which was our first digital public good. And so for there, we're looking at building out and extending the capability through this core edge module. So we're continuing to abstract out the core, make it more modular, make it more performant, and then that will enable the community and the ecosystem to build out more of those modules that are needed to deliver the wide range of financial services that are capable for achieving our mission. So we have a number of projects focused around additional modules and helping to improve that modularity. And then we have our Payment Hub, which is that orchestration and middleware layer to enable institutions to be able to connect to and effectively participate in digital payment channels. So there's a number of projects related to that as it relates both to the public as well as private sector in being able to enable these last mile individuals to not only receive funds digitally, but then be able to transact digitally as well. And then we have our suite of mobile apps, which provide mobile applications for field officers and staff using Mifos X. And primarily, we then provide customer-facing applications to allow customers to either interact with their accounts through mobile banking apps, as well as mobile wallets to transact with individuals as well as merchants. And then we also have Gazelle, which brings together a wide range of digital public goods to be able to rapidly deploy them to help governments as well as other individuals evaluate these DPGs for end-to-end digital public infrastructure use cases and scenarios. And then we have a wide variety of AI and security related projects which help to advance these core projects that sit within Mifos. So one of the key benefits of interning with Mifos is not just this technology stack that's helping to achieve this widespread social mission, but we also have the broader ecosystem and the broader mandate and focus of Mifos, the organization as a whole. So it'll give you an opportunity to learn not just about technology and how it's used for fintech and financial inclusion, but also to really see the impact of what the projects you're working on is having, as well as interact with a broader global community. And so in achieving this mission, Mifos plays a number of roles. First off, we're aiming to act as this thought leader within not just the space of financial inclusion, but fintech in general. So we aim to promote the adoption of our digital public goods to help achieve last mile financial inclusion. So this involves speaking at conferences, providing broader air coverage across the market for our ecosystem, and just making sure people are aware of the benefits of taking this upstream approach and helping to create a virtuous cycle. And then secondly, we aim to foster the ecosystem. So we act as that secretariat hub in the middle of our broader community, helping to connect those institutions, providing financial services with those building the solutions to deliver those services, and then ensuring that those commercial entities that build their own solutions, they're able to contribute back effectively, creating this virtuous cycle where everybody collectively maintains the platform. And then lastly, we help to ensure that the volunteers and interns across our ecosystem are able to effectively contribute and collaborate to this mission. And then we also provide the broader connective tissue for our community. So the governance structure, the collaboration tools to ensure that all these different stakeholders that we're bringing together worldwide can do it in an effective manner. And then lastly, we act as the steward of our digital public goods and products, helping to ensure that the roadmap is user-driven, aligned with our mission, the software is responsibly designed, and as new technologies and advancements in AI and other technological evolutions proceed forward, we can ensure that we're using that responsibly in our community as well to achieve our broader missions. Yeah, and so lastly, just a couple more slides before I pass it on to David. So as noted earlier, like our key focus is helping to bring those financial services last mile. And as we help to explain that, we want to focus around some of our focus on digital public goods and digital public infrastructure. So in the digital public infrastructure space, a big focus is around payments and some of the core technologies like Mojaloop as well as MOSIP that are necessary to deliver and provide the core payment infrastructure. So Mojaloop is an open source reference system for a payment switch, and then MOSIP is the same for functional and foundational ID. But even if you have these modern pieces at the core, you need the underlying locomotive and engines, as well as the stations to help these individuals reach their destination of last mile financial inclusion. So Mifos X provides that capability to have those off-roads to the last mile financial inclusion destinations, as well as those engine cars of innovation to develop and deliver new services that sit on top of the core infrastructure like Mojaloop and Mifos. Yeah, so once again, this just provides a bit closer of a look at the stack here. So our core banking system, Mifos X, provides a wide range of capabilities. It sits upon a modern mock architecture, and we adopt that core and edge approach. And then the payment hub provides that flexibility and that ability to orchestrate end-to-end flows and enable private sector institutions to connect into digital payments, and as well as the public sector institutions like governments to be able to orchestrate payments like government to person, so bulk payments getting sent out, or receive payments in bulk for P2G scenarios like tax payments. And then sitting on top of these digital public goods, we have our suite of mobile applications to enable those customer-facing operations and to really enable that innovation to be directly in the hands of these last mile individuals. And then Gazelle to help to improve the deployability and the performance of our digital goods and make them more easily demonstrable and evaluated in a rapid manner. And then we're continuing to innovate, and our interns that you're looking to become are actually that driving force of innovation. So we're looking to have a savings group app this year as one of our projects. We're continuing to build out more support for agentic use cases through our MCP server. We're trying to abstract out and provide a module for Islamic finance. And then a lot of the tools that our interns have worked on, and we're looking for interns this year, center around credit decisioning, risk management, and we're combining that into our Mifos Lumina tool. So we're eager to have interns like yourselves be a part of that innovation roadmap and how we continue to modernize and develop new solutions for the future. So thanks, David.
So I'm going to cover a bit more about why be an intern. And I think one thing at this point in the year, it's really easy to get very focused in on the goal is to become an intern. But what I want you to try and think of over as we go over the next few slides and maybe have some of the conversation today is that is just the start of the journey. It's a big part to get in there, and we'll give you some tips and things like that. But that's the start of a journey. It's the start of a journey in open source. It's the start of a journey with us here at Mifos. It's not the destination. And that's the message we want to get across to you, to think about the whole journey and we can provide and how you can fit into that. And we coin this term the endless summer of code. And that's really how we see it. It may start this summer, but it doesn't end there. And we'll give you some examples as we go through today of how things have continued on for certain individuals that have participated in the internship program. And some of them are now mentors, some of them are now highly respected people running businesses around the side of our ecosystem, etc. So, as I covered on the last call, there is a difference. There is a difference between a volunteer and an intern. And one of the most obvious differences is that an intern is actually very much more engaged for a very specific period of time and typically gets some reward for doing that alongside. But people that are interns alternate between being volunteers maybe beforehand, being volunteers afterwards, etc. So think of this as a bit of a cycle as we go through it. As we've said, we've been involved, we've been around for many, many years, and this gives you some idea of the progression over the last 13 odd years that we've been involved in internship programs here at Mifos. We started out small. We had 4 interns back in 2013. Last year, I think it was 23 interns we had across the piece. But it's been great. Some of those people that have been interns, a lot of them have remained active contributors. A lot of them have become mentors at point in those journey, and some of them are on the call today that have been become mentors who were previously interns. And some have gone on to do other things afterwards as well, go and move between organisations with the open source sphere. But really, this is about starting on that journey that will last many, many years in the open source space. And just to look at that example a bit more recently for a few of our interns, in 2024, we joined the C4GT internship program alongside the Google Summer of Code internship program. That first year, we had 80 applicants for 5 projects we had. And of those interns, some of them, whether they were on Google Summer of Code or whether they were on the Code for GovTech, then decided the next year they would be mentors. So 2 of the Google Summer of Code interns and one of the Code for GovTech interns then became mentors themselves for Code for GovTech in 2025. And you can see the scale of increase, so we went from 5 to 6 projects last year, but we went from 80 to 400 applicants. And as we'll talk about this year, we'll actually be going on to 8 projects in Code for GovTech. And really, it's that sort of journey that, you may start as an intern, you may then become a contributor, you may become a maintainer, you may become a mentor that we find people doing in our community. And that's the same across all of the things as well. And a lot of the people within our ecosystem sit in many different buckets and work together. And that's part of what you're going to find of your experience as you get involved within Mifos is it's a community of lots of different parts, and all of them have a really, really vital role to play. And you're going to be in the heart of trying to connect with all these different communities, and we'll help you do it, but it'll give you really, really, really broad experience of how to do that. So we have communities of volunteers, we have communities of interns, we have people in other open source projects that we collaborate with. We have people that are practicing and implementing out there, and we have commercial partners that are both implementing and developing on top of our code. So you have this really wide community that you'll be interacting with. And it's great that we've got mentors for most of these areas of the community involved with us. But part of the key thing that Mifos tries to do is give you an experience while you're here as well. You're going to be working very, very hard if you're successful and get through to one of these internships. And really, we want to give you the best experience while we're there. And we do that in many, many different ways. But one of them is to try and give a bit of fun. And this is what we did last year. So as you can see, last year we had so many projects. When we got to finals week, which is the big showcase at the end of all our internships, we couldn't even fit them in one session as we used to do. We had a whole week where we focused on the different elements and do it. But part of that fun and vibe we'll try to bring throughout the year of the experience, regardless of which program you're on. So what programs are we participating in? What programs are we running this year? Well, first up, GSOC, kind of the headline project, probably where a lot of people are thinking at this present point in time, because it's the first one of the projects to really start shouting and getting involved in the year. Um, Typically, we will get between 10 and 15 students on a GSOC program. It varies a bit each year. It's not decided by ourselves. It's actually decided by the Google Summer of Code admins with some very complicated number crunching formula based on how many organizations are participating, the ranking of people, how much mentor support they have, etc. To give you an idea, we had over 800 applications last year for those projects. And we expect that to be a lot more this year. The early signs are more people have signed up to go through the proposal process for Google Summer of Code than ever before. So we're expecting a huge number of applications through it. The way GSOC works, proposals are submitted against our ideas, which are on our ideas board. There is an option to submit your own idea, but generally they never get through. So I would try and get you to focus on the ideas we've done, ideally, not least because we've got mentors signed up willing to support them, which is a huge, huge thing. When you've been busy and you've submitted all your proposals towards the end of March, we have to go through them and shortlist them. So we'll do some very quick assessment at the front end, ruling out those. We get spurious, we get spam submissions. We get those that just haven't participated, joined any of these calls, or understood what Mifos is about, and that kind of rules you out because you probably haven't filled in the application template or anything else you need to do. So we rule out all of those, and we get down to a shortlisted collective. This is still a very long shortlist at this point, and that's where we hand over to our mentors to take those against the projects they've submitted against, go through, refine them, interview the top few candidates. And then what we'll do is we will have a list of selected people against projects, and then we'll go through and rank those projects, and we submit them into Google Summer of Code. Google Summer of Code decides that cut point, and then providing the interns put us as first, as well as we put the interns first on the projects in that ranking order, that's pretty much who we get. And then that means that some point in April, I can't remember the exact date off the top of my head, Google will announce to everybody the successful interns, and it comes from Google, it goes into your dashboard, who is successful. And then we start what we call a bonding period. That's a chance for you to start engaging a bit more with your mentors, understand the community, get the tools in place. And then we go into the big bit from the end of May through to the end of August, which is the coding period. Now, the coding period can vary a little bit for a few different factors, but just try and think of it that window. That's the main window for everybody. And during that point, we'll have midterm assessments and we'll have final term assessments like you saw in the video. Code for GoodTech, previously known as Code for GovTech, but they've changed the name this year. Mifos is actually part of the partner collective that helps support the organisation of Code for GovTech as well and set its strategic vision and how it meets in. This works slightly differently to GSOC in its application process, and it's very important you follow the process for Code for GoodTech. So when they announce the process on the 1st of April, make sure you follow that process if you're interested. We have specific projects that are listed. Again, you can find them on our specific Code for GoodTech page. There is 8 of them this year. You can only submit for those projects, and that's the only projects. And the projects are exactly what is listed. There's no variation. You don't do something else. You know, it is that chunk you do for the period. Again, it's proposal driven. So you'll submit proposals. We'll do evaluation and interviews. What we do in this program is we submit a first, second, third choice for each of the projects. And pretty much we get the first choice if they've also selected, said Mifos is their first choice of project. If they put as a second choice, they may get us if they haven't got another opportunity, and so on and so forth. But we will get 8 students, 48 projects. So it's a fairly defined, we know how many we get out of the back end. Timings for a week are exactly the same as GSOC though. So the coding period occurs in the summer. There is a compulsory boot camp run by Code for GoodTech that you have to participate in at the end of May, but it's a summer coding period again. And then we also have Mifos Summer of Code. This is slightly different. This is organised by us here at Mifos ourselves. And normally the projects, which we'll announce later, we normally announce them at the end of the selection period for Google Summer of Code and Code for GoodTech, is projects that we still want to do but may not have been selected, maybe didn't quite hit the top of the ranking list and things like that. Typically, we take about 5 or 6. The number is not yet decided, how many we'll take through this programme. The applications work differently. Sometimes they're application by invitation, i.e. we will tell people that you had a really good submission, but unfortunately you didn't hit that top cut point wherever GSOC said it, but we want you to come in. So there could be an invitation option. Or sometimes we'll have a limited window, which we tend to advertise to those that have generally applied as well, or past interns. And this is very closely aligned to the GSOC timing. So it's pretty much the same as GSOC, except it's organised by ourselves. So at this point in time, what you probably need to be focusing on is how to stand out. And this is where we try to give you some tips, because standing out is not always good. And this is why we want to show you how to stand out in the right way and not the wrong way. And for a lot of you, you may not have been involved in an open source project before, so this really is just guidance. So early engagement with our community is key. It's key for you to get the best proposal, but it's key for us to get to know you, because at the end of the day, we don't want to be in that speed dating situation at the end window where you've come in, you've understood us for like 5 minutes, you now got to make a decision if you want to be with Mifos for the rest of your life. That's not what we're about. So if you've come a bit earlier and understood us and we understand you, you stand a better chance through the selection process. Okay. There's ways to engage with us. That's in Slack, in our working groups, on GitHub through things like PRs and just understanding things, doing testing, being on calls such as this. All counts as engagement. A tip, read what we post. We do try to give the best guidance we can. Here is where the pages are. Here's the application forms. Please do this. Please don't do this. Please make sure you do our application template and things like that. If you read what we post through this period, it really will help your proposal be in the best place to go through. We look for quality engagement. This isn't about a numbers game. We know some organisations typically have done that in the past. With AI, it'd be very easy to submit thousands of PRs to us. That has a negative effect. What we're really, really looking for is the quality. It's not necessarily even the quality up front in that PR. It's how you engage with us. How do you engage with the people reviewing that PR? Do you take on board the feedback? Do you adjust? Do you get it? Because that's what we're looking for, is people that we can help develop and will engage in the right ways with us. So if you're someone who just thinks, I'm going to pick up a ticket, put in a 2-line AI generated code thing, I can do 50 of those, therefore I must be top to get through. That's not what we're looking for. We really do guide against it. They may sound obvious, but trust me, sometimes it's not. Respectful communications, that doesn't mean you need to call me an Ed, sir. That doesn't count for anything. But it is about remembering you engaging with other people in the community. So just how you would talk to your friends is probably a fairly respectful, or I hope it's a fairly respectful way for how you'd want to interact in the community, because that's what we're building. You know, understand community dynamics. Our community is very diverse. So it's good for you to go into the Slack forums, just read how people are interacting before you start talking, and then you will understand much better how you can interact and get the most out of the community. And set yourself realistic expectations. You're not going to come in, be the super maintainer and push every PR out within the first week of joining our community. That ain't how it works. That isn't how any organisation, open source or otherwise, works. So come in, set your expectations right about, I'm in a learning phase, I'm going to understand, I'm going to look at other people's work, then do something, develop it. I may not be super first day, but I'm going to do it. So don't apply last minute. Don't show you haven't read what we posted. Don't spam us, please. I do get that. And some of the other mentors do as well. Don't spam us with just hundreds of CVs and things like that. It's not a thing. And set realistic expectations. So you're not going to be a maintainer first minute. We're not going to just pick somebody based on a CV. There's an application process. You know, Also bear in mind our mentors are doing other things as well. So they're not going to be available to talk to you 24 hours a day. They will support you, but please don't expect your PR to be reviewed 2 minutes after you submitted it, because trust me, my stack has actually got 120 PRs at this present point in time, and I cleared them all off at the weekend. So that's since the weekend, I've got 120 PRs come through. So the elephant in the room, AI, and how can that be engaged in Mifos? So, like many organisations, we're providing some guidance on the use of AI. AI is new for all of us. We use AI day to day within Mifos, and we expect our students will probably use AI day to day. We're not going to sit in a corner, stick our head like an ostrich in the sand, and assume that AI isn't out there. But there's some good ways to use AI and some bad ways to use AI, just like any tool that is out there. So we allow you to use AI to support your coding. We used it in the recent release of Gazelle that Ed was talking about, but myself and Tom used it quite extensively to help us. But bear in mind, all code submissions must be by a person, a human. When you are submitting coding, it's you, not the AI, doing it. So you need to review it, you need to understand it, you need to tweak it. Most invariably, the first answer is always wrong. You need to validate it and make sure it's not going to just put in 50,000 library files because it thinks those 50,000 library files have been useful in the past, or let's change the background color because the AI engine always prefers black and night mode when we might not use that. So validate, make sure it works for you, understand it, put new prompts in, tweak it. That's how you'll get the most out of using AI in your coding. Remember, as a submitter, you are still responsible for the licensing and the code that goes in, whether you used AI or not. And that's why the contributor license agreement that we get you all to sign is really, really important for us as a community. So do take that responsibility seriously. Where we don't allow AI is in the submission of your proposal. So you can use it as your tools to help you, but we are not interested in proposals that have been polished by AI. We want to see real people, because it's real people we're hoping to get involved that use AI as tools rather than a load of AI engines sending us the same proposal. I kid you not, last year when AI was not as advanced in this field, I had 20 proposals that actually were exactly the same, pretty much with a bit of formatting difference, because they'd used AI, and AI will submit the same thing in. So they just got junked. As I say, remember, we're looking for interns who are going to be long-term part of a community using tools responsibly, and that's our message around AI. There's plenty of links that we'll share in this deck afterwards, but I want to make sure we get to some Q&A because I'm aware we're already running a little bit behind. In terms of next steps, as I said, join the community, interact, pick one ticket, not 50 off Jira, and start interacting on it and do it. Discuss with the mentors specifically the projects that you're interested in. Try and choose what you're interested in. There is challenges. We don't want to kid you. This process is really competitive. Getting it right up front takes a lot of time in terms of your proposal, but don't be afraid to fail, tweak things. This is not about having somebody who's super in day one. It's an internship. You're here to learn and help us grow and help you grow. So with all that hard work, what is in it for you? Achievement. As I said, that funnel is massive down to those that complete their project and get through successfully. So don't underestimate the achievement factor out of what you will receive. In terms of recognition, we do a lot to try and build up recognition in our community as well. So there'll be plenty of opportunities to be publicised and all the rest of it as part of being an intern within our community. You'll probably get some swag. We already have plans, and this year will probably be a bit quicker than last year, so there will be some nice swag opportunities. Our interns typically stay with our community, as we said, maybe go on to be mentors, etc. But we also do assisted travel for some of our interns, whether they're attending conferences to talk about what we're doing, whether they're going to mentor summits, or other things like that. So there is some assisted travel opportunities for successful interns at the back end. Um, but we're also here to help you with your career as well. So we've got plans to bring out alumni portal, which will help support previous interns and mentors much more. We sometimes get opportunities, and we're looking to build a professional services database of interns that have been involved and are willing to do professional services afterwards, and then we can bring you into those opportunities. But also, just being advertised as part of our community is very, very much part of what you'll get in helping to deliver your career. We know there is organisations or ecosystem that have taken a number of people from recent graduates from our intern programs, and they're now working in the companies. So there's lots of career opportunities out doing this. Some takeaways you can look at afterwards, but I think we talked them through. What I want to do is open the floor. I'm really pleased that along with Ed and myself, so we can get a bit of break from talking, we're joined by Rajan and Alex as well, who are mentors on the programme. This is an open time for you to ask your questions. I believe we've got the Q&A up and running. I just can't see it on all my screens. You can put it in the chat. I think you can raise a hand. I'm not quite sure. But if you have questions, now is your chance to ask them of us. Oh, we've got Barath on as well. Excellent. Thank you, Barath, for joining as well in our mentor pool. So loads of mentors here to support you. Please ask away your questions. And Ed, if you can find a Q&A before I can, please feel free to pick any up that have come in. Okay, I found one. Okay, so I'd really appreciate your advice on this. For my GSOP proposal, I'm planning to build a small working prototype using hard-coded data to demonstrate the core idea and then share it via a demo link along with code. Do you think this would be a good approach to strengthen the proposal and better showcase feasibility? Yes. Don't code the actual project in advance, but showing that you can use the tools around it, maybe demo it, maybe say, for this small data set, I've done something, but I'm going to do it to a huge data set later in the actual proposal. It makes it more real. So yes, anything like that, including links to demos, is perfectly fine in your proposals. How many proposals can an aspiring intern submit to one org? That depends on which program you're under. I think they all allow multiple proposals to the same org. You'll only get selected for one, but you can submit multiples, and we often see 2 or 3 proposals from some people. So don't be ashamed to put multiple proposals in. But I would say focus on the ones that you really, really want to do, because the people that come across best are those that actually are passionate about their working. Is there any non-technical projects an intern can apply for? No, not under Google Summer Code or Code for GovTech or MSOC. They are technical internship programs. We do have a business internship program we do every year as well. And there may be other opportunities that we're starting to think about in the community, but these programs are focused on technical contributions. Is GSOC only for developers? I think so, yes, would be my answer. So I think that's the same as the previous question. So yes, technical. You don't have to be an experienced developer. In fact, they're kind of ideal towards people new to open source. But yes, you do need to be a developer. Can we send our proposals to our mentors for general review feedback before submission closes? Is this allowed? Right, I'm going to start picking on mentors for this, because mentors have different opinions on this subject. So, Rajan, come off mute. What's your opinion? Should people send you proposals to look at before they submit it?
Yes, they can send. For the like early review, they can send to any whoever the mentor he is. So they should definitely send it, because the thing is the people who is writing proposal first time, they don't know how to actually elaborate their way to solve the problem. So mentor can just like let them know there's some areas that they need to cover. If I say the very basic one is splitting the problem about like how what they understand and how they're going to solve it, and how they're going to create the mock-ups, and how they're gonna like implement logically, not like full implementation, just logically. So mentor can evaluate, okay, he's capable of, and as according to his previous contribution and all. So they should actually.
Excellent. So Rajan is really open to getting lots of proposals to review beforehand. Alex, are you of the same point of mind or not?
I think I have a tendency to be on the opposite side, because you shouldn't be too paranoid about making mistakes. So that the goal here is not to have a polished proposal, like, because that's the whole idea to get into this program, to develop yourself, to advance a little bit, to get maybe smarter out of this as you were before, right? So you are all smart, but they are to do some mistakes. And later, maybe you don't have that opportunity anymore. You will still make them. But here, as they say, it's a safe space. And as David already said, all these polished, pixel perfect proposals, I have a tendency to say that's just not real. I prefer to have the real deal and just to see people how they do their best, and then during the project we can come up with all kinds of ideas. But if people just hammer me like constantly before the submission and try to get me into polishing the thing for them, that's not going to help you.
Excellent. Barrett, do you have a view on the subject?
Yeah, I think there are two things to it. One, as I said, as Rajan said, it's good to review the proposals before, and the mentor and student relationship should be more lenient, and students should be more comfortable to reach out to mentor for any queries or anything as such, because most of them are applying would be students, and this would be their initial kind of work what they do, and I'm sure they will be having a lot of questions around it. And the second thing, as Alex rightly mentioned, it should not be a burden for mentors, where mentors will do the like corrections or suggestions, or like helping them in each and every in the detail, if you know what I mean. So it should be a balanced approach. So the mentor should be friendly enough, and students should also be quick learners to understand and take the feedback, and like do the proposals in the required manner. Yeah, that's my take on this.
Excellent, thanks. I think what you get out of that is our mentors are all a bit different as well. So really the important thing for you to do at this stage is identify the projects you want to work on, get to know the mentors. Some will be wanting to be much more involved around those proposals with you. Others may not be. I guess my advice from my perspective as well, because I'm a mentor on some of the projects, I'm kind of halfway actually between all those different perspectives. I like to have a bit of involvement, but not a lot. I'm certainly not on the polishing side. And I think the key thing for me is bear in mind all our mentors on the projects are probably helping about 8 or 9 applicants. So even us helping you write the proposal is not going to mean you necessarily get through. So don't have that expectation of, I sent a proposal, they sent back and said, looks goodish, that I've definitely got in, because there will be 8 or 9 that they've probably interacted with and sent it through. So there'll be lots of other factors in what's successful as well. So just take that on board. Let me move to some other questions. Got plenty coming in, and please do put them in the Q&A. How do I set up the code base of a particular project idea? Well, I'm going to go to our newly appointed chief community architect and say, Alex, how do you set up our code base?
Yeah, so it depends what kind of programming language, obviously. But if it's Java, which it would be in most of the cases probably, then just don't go nuts, right? So you don't have to create a framework of any kind, right? The tool of choice would be Gradle. Maven is fine too if you feel more comfortable with that build tool, right? So there's no religious decision here on that point. When it comes back later to the project themselves, that's a different story. But as long as you create prototypes, do one of those two. And then in Gradle, for example, there's Gradle init. Right? Just go with that one. It just tells you simple project, multi-module project, go with the simple project. Don't be, too meticulous about, modularity and whatnot. Right? I will pester you then later about that particular point enough. But when you do these prototypes, just go for fast. Right? And fast is just Gradle init. I don't remember Maven, but it has a similar thing. Right? It has artifacts and whatnot. And just go with that, and then just start coding in one place, like monolithic, right? One source folder, nothing too fancy. And then just show that you can use Git, right? So create a Git repository, push your changes there. You don't have to have a particular fancy framework to manage your Git commits and whatnot because you're alone, right, in your prototype. But just so that you can show that you use the tools and you understand what it's all about.
Excellent, thanks. Rajan, I know mobile's a bit different. How would you say people wanting to do mobile projects should get engaged with your team?
Yes. For the mobile project, like we have a two mobile projects. So initially, like Alex actually said the very right thing. So don't go, if it is a new project, it can be any type. Don't go overboard like creating an architecture and everything. You should be just more about the idea. Okay, what we want to build and actually the problem solving. That's all. The initially and create a very basic implementation during the like contribution or and the whole thing will be proposed and reviewed after the selection. That's the other thing. But don't go overboard and creating the big architecture. Okay, we'll do that. But like very basic implementation, and just you should have a like your thinking. If some like one some like more people gonna come and work in your code base, so how it gonna behave? So as accordingly, it should be like scalable. That you should be thinking, but not initially like just onboarding for the architecture first. For implementation, basic implementation is one must. And when we are talking about the mobile development, we have everything. Actually, the architecture, we have a base project of KMP template architect that we follow strongly, and we enhance as accordingly. So if someone is like contributing and want to send a proposal for mobile development, I will suggest like join the daily stand-up. That's like one of the important things. Like that's one of the way like where you can just quickly get to know the project, quickly get to know that what's happening and how to write the code base. So we have more than 15 people in a daily stand-up students. So I'll suggest like try to join the daily stand-up. That's the like fastest way. Like you can just get on board with the project within like 3 to 4 days in a real coding.
Excellent, thank you, Rajan. So next, I can see someone asking about the AI session we've got coming up tomorrow, I believe it is, and the open mic. If you want to get involved, you want to showcase something, please do. Please reach out to Keshav, who isn't on this call, but he's in the AI for working group. Just message him and get a slot for the open mic session tomorrow. It'll be good to see what everybody's doing. So there's no limit on what you can share apart from it should be AI related. We've got someone in my proposal. I've included architectural solutions for issues I've encountered. Is this the right level and a positive sign? Yes, if you've identified things, yeah, talk about it. You know, we want somebody who's read it and maybe identified some issues. and can just talk nicely about it. We're not expecting a 54-page architectural proposal within your proposal. We're expecting someone that says, I've read, I've understood, here is what it is. So yeah, don't shy away from putting those things in, but don't feel you need to. What is the ideal length of a 350-hour project proposal? There is no ideal length. So it depends on the project. You've got to demonstrate you've understood the project, what you're going to do in the project, that you have a sensible timeline, that you've done some experimentation around the side, and most importantly, you've filled in our templated questions on our application form. Apart from that, it's fine. I would generally, it's not a 1-2 page submission. It's not a 50-60 page submission. Probably most fit somewhere around about the 10 pages that I've seen that normally get through, but there is no rule that it has to be 10 pages. Please don't take that away from what I say. What makes a CBILD proposal stand out? I have no idea what CBILD stands for, but they mentioned Victor. So welcome, Victor. Do you understand what CBILD stands for?
Hello, David. Yeah.
Hello. Do you understand what CBILD means, Victor? Because it's an acronym I don't understand. But I gather it's related to a project you're doing.
The core banking.
Core banking, right.
It's the credit core banking credit bureau for core banking. Yeah.
So the question they've got is, what would stand out for you in a proposal on that project?
Yeah, we will continue with the development that has been done by you the last Google Summer of Code. We will create the reports that we have to send to the credit bureau. For example, the information that we are producing about the behavior that the customer of the financial institution is having with the loan repayments, or if they have any due or late payments, we have to create the reports. Also, we are creating an interface for having a module in the Mifos web app. And of course, we have to reuse the existing work that has been done in the previous Google Summer of Codes.
Excellent. Thank you, Victor. If there's any other questions for our Q&A, please put them in quickly. Okay, for mobile applications, specifically for offline first architecture, what's the ideal architectural implementation? Rajan, that's definitely one for you.
Yes. So the ideal architecture that we are looking is actually earlier in past we have created a offline feature. Currently we have a network layer and database layer that is implemented like parallelly, and that data layer that interact both of them as accordingly show the data. Now we wanted to write a layer that become like this will be the intelligent layer that will decide each and everything, staleness of the data, like when they need to fetch the data from server and when they need to show the data from local. So it's going to be the one of the intelligent layer. And as I mentioned, we are going to use Store 5 library. That's the Kotlin multi-platform library that supports that's like one of the biggest library that every big company is using, and is actually they all are working together to make it available for all the platforms and have a very strong implementation. So that is the layer that we wanted to build for the offline architecture.
Excellent. Thank you, Rajan. Someone has asked, are the provisional mentors like final mentors? Can I reach out to them now? Yes, you can reach out to them. Are they the final mentors? No, not necessarily. So we do sometimes juggle around the mentors a little bit. We've tried to give mentors that are most aligned to the projects. When we know what 13 projects or 15 projects or whatever for GSOC get selected, we have a slight option to shuffle the mentors just to balance things across. So you can't guarantee they will be the final mentor, but normally they're pretty close to it. So absolutely, in terms of reaching out now, go for the people on the provisional mentor names. That's a good way to do it. We're also very big on mentoring teams as well. So we'll actually probably, although there may be a named person as the mentor, if there's lots of projects around AI, they probably work together as a team, about 3 or 4 mentors to support. Same on Mifos X, same on mobile, same on Gazelle, etc. So they will work and interact together. So don't worry about that. I can't see any more questions come in at the moment, but I'd like to thank you all for joining to find out a bit more. That's a huge plus for us because it means you'll understand what we're looking for a bit more. So that's great. But I also like to put a huge thank you out to the mentors, especially those that were on the call today. So Victor, Alex, Rajan, Bharat, as well as obviously Ed and myself that just take all the credit around the sides. These mentors are going to be the people you're interacting with. You can see they're a mixed bunch and they're really excited about what they're doing. So that's the main thing for you to take away. You've got an excited team of mentors who I am going to push very hard over the next month on doing proposal evaluations. So next time you see them, they'll probably look a little bit more tired, but please be appreciative of them as a team. With that, we will wrap the call. Ed, any final words from yourself you'd like to say?
No, I think just echoing what David said, thank you to everybody. Follow the advice given. We're looking forward to engaging with all of you in highly collaborative and productive manners. And once again, yeah, thank you to the mentors for sharing your advice and helping us evaluate the interns as you go along this journey. Thanks, everyone.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.